So hello everybody. So welcome back to today's class. In this video, we're going to learn about the basic structure of a HTML web page. This is one of the most important lessons of web development. If you don't understand the structure of a HTML web page, everything else just feels confusing along the line. CSS, JavaScript, framework, library, they all just feel confusing if you can understand the basic structure of a HTML web page. That's what we're going to go into now. Now, before we go, I want to also recap on a few things that we've done so far. So by the end of this class, we should be able to understand what HTML is. Although by this time, I hope that everybody here actually understands what HTML is. We're also going to understand how a web page is structured from top to bottom. And we're also going to look at the most popular tags that are used, the popular tags used when structuring a web page. This is going to be a bit of a long class, so I'm not really rushing that much. I'm going to explain everything slowly. I'm going to explain it slowly and I'm going to write in the code as I talk. I'm not going to be doing too much coding today. I'm just going to be taking it slow, taking some notes when necessary. So I want to go down into it. So now, as I've said in our last class and in previous classes, HTML is not a programming language. It means hypertext markup language. It doesn't make decisions. It doesn't calculate anything. It doesn't really think. All it does is display and represent content. Think of it as the skeleton of a human body. Without HTML, the browser has no idea where it's headed, it doesn't know what is a paragraph, doesn't know what is a heading, doesn't know what is a picture, doesn't know what is a link, doesn't have an idea what is what. So HTML tells the browser what its content is. Now, by this time, hopefully you guys have all gone to your file explorer and created your HTML file. If you don't know how to do that, I will get a video showing you how to start up with HTML. Probably go to the first video I did, an introduction to HTML, to understand how to do all that. So we're going to be using a file. This is the file in my VS Code, my Visual Studio Code. We're calling it my junior class. You can call it whatever you want. So we can get down into the class. So first of all, I can show you a basic structure of a HTML website. So now, what do I mean when I say basic structure of a HTML website? This is a kind of mandatory structure, well, not really mandatory, but a kind of necessary structure that most HTML-based websites follow. And there's a reason why they follow them. There are some advantages to following a standard when creating a website, especially with HTML. It makes it easy to understand your code. That's the first thing. So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to talk about advantages. So I'm going to go to the next page. So advance of HTML web structure. And the first advantage there is that it makes the website easy to understand. That's the first advantage. The second advantage is it makes it easy to collaborate. What do I mean by this? Now, in real life front-end development, the odds you're going to be writing pure HTML is not that high. Then if you're working for like a very tech advanced company that makes very complex systems. But this idea of having a structure in which you write code, it's not limited to just HTML. It actually applies to almost all programming languages. There's a structure to which they are written. And this structure, whether for HTML, whether for CSS, whether for backend, it makes it easy to collaborate because in most times, in most web development environments, it's not one person that's building the entire application. Sometimes there are teams. And it's very easy to understand how to read code or how to read another team member's code when you know the basic structure of a website or an application. Again, this will apply to every single concept of programming, but in this case, applies just to HTML. This is easy to collaborate. When two people or three people write a HTML website the proper way, using the proper format, using the proper structure, even if I send it to someone else who understands that structure, it's easy for them to dissect what I did. It doesn't feel too confusing. And I think it makes it easy to work with templates. Now, this is going to be a very, very important part of our future class, templating. So it's going to be a very important part of our future class because most of these sites that people build, front-end side that people build out and deliver in a week, 2 weeks, they don't build them from scratch. They use templates. So when you understand the basic structure of a HTML website, even when you get a template and you want to work with a template, you want to work with any kind of template at all, it makes it easy to understand what you are doing and the changes you are making. So these are the three most important advantages to structuring your website properly. It enables it easy to understand your own code, and it might sound quite funny now. You have to say understand your own code and you're thinking in your head, it's not me that wrote it. You can get confused though. It's the way you write 1,000 lines, 800 lines, 100 lines of code, you just get confused. Having knowledge of how the structure is makes it very easy to understand it. Even when you open it months later, you can still kind of understand what you were thinking back then and what was in your mind when you were building it. It makes it easy to work with templates, it makes it easy to collaborate with other developers. So those are the three. I'm going to leave this number 4 for now. These are the three major advantages. So now, let's go to the basic structure. This is the basic structure. I wrote that on my notes. I also make this note available for those who want it. I will start on my notes here. And the structure, there's no real explanation for it. I'm going to start it up in my code with the first thing that every HTML website starts with. The first thing every HTML website starts with is doctype HTML. This is the first thing every HTML website starts with. And if I come to my notes, I think I explained this here. So let's scroll down. This is it here. So the tag used, okay, the basic tag used in starting a HTML website. These are the basic tags used when starting. And number one, or the first one there, so number one, is doctype HTML. And this means document type. Doc type means document type, and it tells the browser that this is a HTML document. So it's called document type declaration. Document type declaration. Let me add that there. So declaration. And it is a single tag. It doesn't have any closing tag. The same way you see it here, the same way it's written. Same way I wrote it in my code too. That's how it is. It doesn't have a closing tag, and it just tells the browser what version of HTML the document is using. You write just this, nothing else. And if I come over to my page, as you can see in my page, junior class is blank. If I refresh it, nothing happens. It's still blank, nothing changes. We just put it there because it tells the version of HTML. Now, HTML has different versions. We have HTML5, which is the one we use today, the most popular one. There were also different versions in the past, like HTML4, XHTML, and others. Writing this doc type HTML tells the browser that, hey, this is written in HTML5. Render it correctly. That's all. If you forget to use this now, this thing is not compulsory. You can easily write code without adding your doc type HTML and it still work. Okay, that's the still. But if you forget to put it there, while it still works, the browser has a tendency to misbehave, behave strangely. So for the sake of best practice, always start your HTML file with doc type HTML. The next thing you're putting there is your HTML tag. So HTML tag. Now this is a proper tag, a proper open and closing tag, and it's known as the root of the web page. So let's go back to our notes. As you can see, it's written here, root element. I'll change this from root element to root of the web page. The reason why I changed it from root element, that root element might sound confusing in case you want to read the note later. So using the word root of the web page or something. And what it means that just like how you see the root of a tree is where everything starts, is where the tree grows from. That's the same way the HTML tag works. Everything that is on the website other than doctype HTML, which is declaring the HTML tag to the browser, every other thing goes inside here. It goes inside these two tags, which is the HTML tag. Everything goes inside it. Everything that belongs to the website goes inside it. Nothing should exist outside it other than our doctype HTML. So this is now it has an open tag and a closing tag. Very important. I'm going to put my number 2 here. Okay. And again, this is something that you can write code without adding it and you don't really notice any difference. But again, the browser has a tendency to misbehave. And you can also add an attribute to it. Sometimes people add attributes like you can add, so you can come here and add lang. en. And what this does, that this tells the browser or any browser you're using that the website you're writing is written in English language. And again, it's not something that will be very noticeable whether I add it or not because it's English, you're writing obviously. But what it does is that by telling the browser that it helps with accessibility, it helps with screen readers, and it also helps with search engine optimization. So we're going to go into later. So always add it. It's good to add. It's an attribute. It means lang, en. Lang means language. You can see it helps define the language of an element. Language that non-editable elements are in, and language that editable elements shall be written in by the user. Non-editable elements are elements that are written in code, like your headers or paragraph. While editable elements are the ones you write inside, for example, your input tag, like filling a form. So the language there, and I'll set out to en, which is English. So now, after that, the next one or the next tag that should be here is your head. And again, you can see I'm writing them inside each other. This is inside the head, inside the HTML. And basically what the head does, we have two main sections. So we have the head and we have the body. I'm going to treat the two of them. Inside a website, we have two main sectors, which is the head and the body. Let's go back into our document. So this will be our number 3. And again, this is how most websites are written, the head. So now, the head basically contains information. So I'm going to change this up. Let me use something simpler. I'm just trying to change all this I wrote to more simpler, easy to understand format. So info about the website, not the content that user sees. So what this means is that it contains information about the website, but it's not necessarily the content that the user would see. It's just information that the website should have. For example, the title of the website. So you can see it here. I'm going to name this 3.1. So 3, or I'll name it number 4. Even though it's still kind of inside the head, I'm going to name it number 4 to avoid confusion. So everything that we write inside the head doesn't appear visually on the website itself, but it is used to give the browser information that the browser can use to render other content, but it doesn't show what is written in the head. So for example, if I come down here and inside my head, I write title. So I put my title tag, and inside the title, I put let me say this is a new page. If I save this, go back to my document and refresh, nothing happens. It's still empty. But if I come up here and put my browser, you can see this written here, just down here. This is the new page under local and shared file. If I come to my portfolio website and see Autodev Web Development Agency, I go to W3 School, you can see it's written in W3 School. Now, if I come back to my browser, enter my code, and I take off this title, save it, come back here, and refresh, you can see the put and show you on junior class of HTML. So it doesn't have a title, it's untitled. That's why I show you that name. So adding a title tells Google and tells any other browser you're using what the name of the website is, which might be very important when you host it, as it helps Google to identify your website or your business. So this is a new web page. Good. If your business or you're creating a website for a business just plumbing, let me say um Lagos, for example, you can write plumber in Lagos as the title. And when somebody searches plumber in Lagos, it has a higher chance of bringing up a website because Google can read that title. So title is all discussed. And again, this goes inside the head. When it's opportunity to discuss title, title is very, very important. This title tag here, extremely important. It doesn't appear inside the web page. Again, it's in the head. It doesn't appear inside the web page. What it appears inside is in your browser tab. So if I come back here, these are your browser tabs. All these are tabs. And as it appears, again, very important because Google directly searches this. Google directly sees it. Every single web page must have a title. Very important. It helps Google to rank you easily. If you don't set a title, your website is less visible to Google, and it just feels kind of unprofessional in a sense not to set a title. So always add your title tag. Next tag we can add here is called meta. And meta is used to provide metadata. Metadata are data information that is injected directly to the browser. It doesn't touch your website, the website doesn't see it. Those are useful information that added to the browser. And they are self-closing tags. So these are void tags. They are void. They don't have any slash meta. They are void tags. And they can host a number of attributes. So let me go down here. So I'm gonna add it here as number 5. That's a message and is very important for every web page to have. So number 5, we're going to have our meta tag. So this is another tag that goes in the head tag. So it goes inside the head tag just like title. And basically, and it contains and provides metadata to the browser. So if we go back to meta here and we hover, as you can see, this element represents various kinds of metadata that cannot be expressed using the title, base, link, style, and script. So it just contains metadata. I'm going to show you what these metadata are. Metadata are a list of instructions that you are given to kind of to give your website to prepare it for the content that's coming. Just like how we have lang en here, which tells your browser that it's English you're going to write. These are other kinds of metadata that prepares your browser for the content you're about to give it. So we're going to discuss most of this kind of content. They come in the form of attributes. I'm going to discuss it. Now, these are the meta tags are self-closing or void tag. So they don't have a closing tag. Very important, not add a closing tag there. So now let's add in some meta information. First, I'm going to add is charset. Charset means character set. I'm not even going to write this down, so I hope you are listening because I'm going to write it further down. It's character set and it tells the browser what character encoding to use. And the most popular one that is used now is UTF-8. So this is UTF-8. And UTF-8 is a character encoding style that supports letters, numbers, symbols, emojis, different languages. Without this, your website will still display well, but in some particular browsers, try some outdated browsers, this UTF-8 is not there. Some characters may display incorrectly, so that's why we added there. Another one we can add there is our viewport. So we can also come here and put viewport. Okay, sorry, put our name, viewport. I put our content, width, device width. So width, device width. And we also put our initial scale 1.0. Now, this looks a bit long, but I promise you, it's actually quite nice to have this. Now, remember when I said the meta tag is used to add meta information? For this viewport and this content width, it tells your browser how content behaves on mobile devices. Without this tag, your site might look broken on some phones. So you can have it says here, device width. The width is equal to device width and the initial scale is 1.0. It starts from 1.0, then it either gets smaller or gets bigger. The width device width, what this does that it matches the width of the device that is displaying. While the initial scale 1.0 means that it's telling it don't just zoom in or zoom out carelessly. Be careful when you are zooming and zooming out. Another meta tag we can also use is, let me add another meta tag here. This one also very important. So meta description. The meta description. Now, description is used again for search engine optimization. It is just as important as this title. And what description does is that it allows you to give a description of your website. For example, let's say this is a website about plumbing. So let's call it AutoDevs plumbing. 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 So again, this title, I think that Google searches this title in Lagos. Let me say in Lagos. Google searches this title. It makes it very easy for us to rank. The description is the exact same. In fact, this is very important because search engines like Google, it helps you to understand what your website is about. And once Google understands what your website is, it makes it much more easier for it to display your website to the right audience. So I can write in the description, just normal English. The also the devs plumbing is a plumbing company based in Lagos that offer plumbing services. I don't know if you get what I'm going with this. It's not code. I'm just describing a business. And what makes this so important is that when Google wants to rank and scrape your page to understand your page, it it will read this first, your description to read it first. Most times they read it first. So that's why adding a description is very, 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 very important. So these are some of the things that you can add in your website. So you can write your CSS inside here. You can also write your JavaScript inside here. Again, if you want to write it in the same page. So these are things you can add in the head. The next one we're going to now is the body. Body. And the body, let's go down to our document. So we're going to name this our number 6. Yes, our number 6. Everything that is visible on the website or the web page is the body. Basically, everything the user sees goes inside the body. So this contains, so basically, it contains everything the user sees. This might include, okay, let me change this, okay. This includes text, images, links, videos, buttons, forms, basically everything that the user can see, not metadata, not information that goes on the browsing tab or that Google sees, the one that the user sees. Everything goes inside the body. So if I open my website now, this blank space here, everything I am going to show inside this blank white space goes inside the body. For example, so let me come back to my body. In my body, I can have my H1 and say this is a header. If I save that, oh, let's not use this is a header, so let's use auto devs plumbing. Since we already started with that in Lagos. Oh no, auto devs plumbing. That's good enough for a title. So this goes inside the body tag. Everything goes inside the body tag. If it's visible on the web page or something that you know that's going to show on the website, it goes into the body. Nothing visual, so nothing that has visual like H1 or P tag should go inside head. Nothing visual. should go inside head. Everything that the user can see goes inside body. And that's what makes it so good to structure your website in this format. Because if somebody wants to edit your website under developer, they know that anything that they're going to see, don't edit anything that shows inside here. They know they are going to the body tag to look for it. Don't edit anything that is metadata. They know they are going to the head tag to look for it. So this is why the structure is this way. So this is a basic HTML structure of a website. This is what a website is basically. Now, it can get a lot more complicated than this, but this is what a structure of a basic website should look like. This is the basic structure. You can make it much more complex by adding more things to it, but this is the basic structure we're going to start with. So another thing I want to teach you now is what they call comments. So comments is another thing I want to teach you. Again, every other attribute that we're going to use, we're going to visible, header, paragraph, link, list, button, input, everything goes inside the body. So now, on that note, I want to have so now the first note I have here is the reason why websites are structured in a certain way and using certain rules is called standard coding practice. We discussed that earlier where I said these are the advantages of having it this way. In fact, since we discussed it earlier, I'm going to move this part. So let me come back up to advantages. I want to paste this here. Okay. And another note you also need to understand that in HTML, and JavaScript, there's also something called nested elements. This is when tags or tags have other tags attached to them, like subtags, to give them more context. For example, we have our UL, which the UL will be the parent element for those who understand list. Then all the list items inside there are known as child elements, child 1, child 2, child 3. So that's how it works. Whenever you see a HTML tag that has subtags under it, like our list, you can't have UL without having li. Two of them goes together. So this is the parent element, this is the child element. Just something for you to note. So these are some of the notes. Another thing I also wanted to note is comments. So comments, these are a way to add content or text that you want the browser to omit or ignore. So whenever you comment or add a comment to a coded website like HTML, it tells the browser, that comment tells the browser that it should ignore that thing, omit it, don't add, pretend that it is not there. That's why the word is down. And the why this thing is so useful, why this comment is so useful, is that it allows you to label what you are writing. It allows you to label your website, which makes it so easy to not just understand your website in the future, but for other people to also understand the website and for you to understand the website and also build. So comment is a very important part. And how comment is written in HTML is like this. So let's say for example, this is the title, right? I can come down here and I add my slash, an exclamation mark, and two dash. I'm going to do that again. So my bracket, exclamation mark, two dash. That's all. And inside here I can write this is the header section. And as I've written this here, if I save this, go back to my code and refresh, nothing changes. So the advantage there is that I can write this and in the future, if I get confused as to what section it is, it labels it here for me. I can see the label here is written. And it might not look important now because the website is only 12 pages long, but let us have a look at a website that is, I don't know how many pages is this, and that one I'm building. This website is over 1,137 lines long. I think I said pages earlier. I'm sorry, it's not pages. I meant lines. And here you can see how easy it is to get lost in what you're writing. What makes it easier? For example, now look at this. So this is FAQ. You can see an end FAQ section. If you go up, you see where there is a start FAQ section. So FAQ section is here. So now, even as you're not a developer, a full-fledged developer, even if you don't know much about coding, you just kind of understand that This is FAQ section. FAQ means frequently asked questions. If I come down, let me show you the website that you understand. This is the website here. This is the website I'm building. It's a health insurance website, and this is the FAQ section here. So let me scroll up. This is the FAQ. FAQ, frequently asked questions, over here. And these are the questions asked. So now, even as you're not a full-fledged developer, you already know that this section is for FAQ because you're seeing it there in the comment. Now look at here, sec title. I can also write here section title. But because I understand and I want to abbreviate, I use sec. You can write anything you want there. And with this, you already know that this place is for the title of that section, which is what is here. Frequently asked questions. The same thing as written here, frequently asked questions. And you automatically know that this is where the title ends. You can have comments there. So accordion is what this stuff FAQs are written in. And this just makes it easy for you to structure it. Because when we end the section, you can see it here. And here now is choose, and that section called choose. I can also name this why choose us. So why choose us section. And now, even if I give my code to somebody else to work or edit on, and I tell him, oh, make a change on the why choose us section, name it something else. He already knows that it's here, why choose us. And if you come down here to the something and you go down, you can see why us, why choose our insurance services, which is the same thing written here in the title. Why us, why choose our insurance. So this is why comment is very, very important. So again, we're not going to go too deeply into all these things because I don't want to confuse you early. But this is the basic structure to which every HTML website is written. I can come here, add my link to nav. Inside my nav, I'll add my okay, my URL. So let's say URL. Then add my li and can name it home. I'm just adding some stuff to populate the website about contact. So let me tell them contact. We'll have these three there for now. And then I can say, okay, this is the end of my header section. I can come here, I can add my comment again and write end header section. And I can also come down here, I want to start and let me say banner, banner or hero. If you're not about banner or hero, the section that displays that huge text that most people see. So I can now come here and write banner section start to signify the banner section is start. And then we can add the banner here. Let me see another H1. Let me see another H1. Welcome to Autodesk Plumber. I can also add a P tag here. Add a P tag. And I can write something like, I'm not going to write a bunch of things because I don't have to think of anything. And at the end of it, I can also add a button here. And I can button, contact us. Add the button, contact us. I can also add an image here. So I can add an image, source, assets, images, peak. After adding this picture, I can come down here and I can put end of or end banner section, which signifies the end. And I can go straight to the about me. So I can come over here, I can start about section. And again, I can do the same thing. Also add a h2 tag about me. So about me, and add a paragraph. So I can after the h2 tag, I can add a paragraph. Again, saying a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo because I'm not sure to be typing something simple. And I can also add another paragraph here. So another paragraph to have more to say about myself. And I can add one more paragraph too. So one more paragraph. Again, I'm just putting in dummy text there because I'm not trying to be writing like dedicated English and be thinking about how to write. And at the end of that, I can put a button here, another button, learn more. After adding this button that says learn more, that's the end of the about me section. So I just put in my comment again and about section. And because this comment is permitted by the browser, it won't show or even do anything with any of these comments I wrote. It just helps me to understand the code later on. So that brings us to the end of this class. I don't want to go any further than this. We'll continue our next class. But what I want to reiterate is that we said that the foundation of every HTML web page ever built lies in their structure. Whether you're building a simple website, a business website, or even something as complex as a web application, you need to maintain structure. Structure never changes. That's why many people, many developers can work on the same project because they understand the structure. Once you master this structure, master using comments, master writing things in the proper places, everything becomes easier. Because even if you come to your code 1 year later, you don't need to stress about things like, what did I write about the about to know? It's there. The comment shows you. You don't need to worry yourself thinking, this code I wrote, what is it for? No. The comment explains it. And it can be as explanatory as you want in the comment. You can write about section. I can even write something like this is the section where I wrote about the company. So if you're somebody who forgets things easily or think just writing something like about section is not good enough for you to understand, you can write a full note there. And the person will know, or if you can write a note on that developer saying start here or start coding here, or there might be a mistake here, you can upload this comment saying that is called comment. It's just for the code, it's not for the output, it's not for the browser. So with this, I would like to bring this class to a close. I don't think there's any other thing I want to discuss in this class. If you skip structure, I just need to emphasize on this. If you skip structure, your code becomes fragile. It becomes hard to understand. You might get away with it on simple websites, but once you start adding complexity, CSS, JavaScript, problems start to show very quickly because you get confused. Solid structure is what separates, hobby coding or coding for the fun of it from writing professional code. It's not optional, even though I'm saying that even if you don't use it, your code will still work. It's not optional. This is the minimum standard of writing HTML, and every serious web developer needs to understand this. So with that, I'll see you all in the next class.